Okay.
Okay, we should do countdown. Yeah.
We're live actually, but yeah, go. Let's do the count.
Yeah, it's kind of important. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Perfect. Hello and welcome to That Beautiful Life Podcast. This is episode 168 of That Beautiful Life Podcast. My name is Kadis Campbell, sitting here in the beautiful United Kingdom, talking to the beautiful Roger Bergstrom, who you just heard give the beautiful count, which you guys never really hear because it's usually done before the podcast start, before we go live at least. Yeah, Rog, how are you doing, man?
I'm fine, thank you. It's a beautiful morning. I'm not gonna lie. It's the sun is shining outside, and it's been quite nice weather recently. The scent of spring is here, and it's I really like it. It feels like good timing. It's been quite a long winter. It feels like so. Good stuff is coming our way. I can feel that. What about you, man? How are you? Are you good?
I have to say, despite the bugs, I also have been quite keen on spring at the moment. The temperature is a lot more applicable to my body, so I've been walking around the house in trousers and nothing else. It's been nice. It's been nice to to not have to feel like, oh god, I gotta put on a top sometimes. I can just walk around without a t-shirt and I'm still fine. So that's good. And also I'm also liking the little bit of like, oh, look at that. It's like 7:00 in the night and the sun is still out. Great. So
true. Yeah, that makes a difference. The light, being there for such a longer time. Also earlier. It's like early morning and late evening. That's really, really nice. And I was just wondering how it is where you live, like in Reading in the UK, because here in Sweden, it's kind of funny this time of year, even though it's not that warm yet. Like for me, I am quite picky. I want I want it warm, but it's going to be warm enough, quite warm if I'm going to start to, like have shorts and a t-shirt being outdoors. Right now it's still, you and I talked about wind, that we don't like heavy wind or stuff. And it's been a bit windy. So I'm still dressing not like I did a few weeks ago, apparently, but still like having a hat and like a good jacket and everything. And then I come out and I see some of the neighbors like in shorts and everything, fixing some stuff outdoors. And I'm like, bro, it's too early. Have you seen, is it the same like in your area? Have you seen that? Like immediately when it starts to become a bit summer-like or spring-like, probably more spring-like.
I'll be honest, I haven't really I haven't observed my neighbors doing stuff like that because I haven't really been looking out the windows to see what my neighbors are doing most of the time.
No.
But I do notice people going jogging and they're jogging in shorts and like lighter clothes. But the weird thing though is I've seen people do that during the winter as well. So I don't know if that's just how they go jogging. I personally like jogging in shorts myself. Like I will go jogging in the winter with shorts on, but I will have actually, to be honest, I would wear a thin like top and go jogging in shorts because by the time I start like moving, my blood starts pumping and I start sweating a bit. I'm gonna start feeling warm and it's gonna warm me up. So I think that's it. I don't actually see people. I haven't noticed, I should say, if my neighbors are doing that kind of stuff. They probably are, though. They probably are.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I just noticed. I mean, you know how it looks like outdoors here. You've been here, right? It's quite close between the houses and everything. And if people are out, you see them. It's very obvious. So I was just thinking, because this is something I've noticed through the years, apparently. I mean, I've lived in Sweden all my life. But it's so fun. I think it has to do with the, as I said before, the long winter or in winter, so most of the time, and a period when it's so much darker and everything, and people are less how should we say, out in general. Sure, they're out, but not as much as they probably are during the months of late April, May, June, July, August and stuff like that. So Yeah, interesting phenomena.
That is true. I think
and the barbecue, of course. Yeah, you start to see the smell of barbecue.
I do have some neighbors who do that, who do barbecue and play music. I think they're Romanian, and yeah, they usually you smell the back. Like I think the other day we were hanging out some clothes, and I walked out in the back, and because in the back of front, like the back of our house, you can see the neighbors' yards. You can see we can see each other from where they are and stuff like that. At least the neighbors on the right of us, and so when they're barbecuing and stuff, we can see each other. So I walked out and I said hi, and I was like, I invited myself to the barbecue. They laughed, and we had, but yeah, generally speaking, like I see my neighbors and they barbecue and they do their thing and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, I rarely go out to the back, which I need to do because I have to actually do the garden because the grasses are obviously overgrown. But I rarely go to the back, to be honest. It's not a place I tend to venture very much, but I will be doing the garden sometime soon because I want to make it so that Ty could go out in the back and kick a ball around if he wants to. So
yeah, that can be nice.
Yeah,
to take advantage of that place as well.
I'm also thinking to install a camera to the back. So that way he can go out and play in the back. I could step this in the office, so I don't have to go out and play. So the neighbor has a son around Ty's age, so if Ty goes out in the back and he's kicking the ball around and he invites the neighbor over to play and they're kicking the ball together, I can just keep an eye on him. I know what he's doing rather than me having to be out there every single. Because that's what happens usually when he goes out in the back. I go out with him.
Yeah.
And if he's going to the park or he's going somewhere, I'm fine going with him. Like I would expect to go with him. I don't want him going by himself. But his own backyard, I would be like, I would like to just be able to like, yeah, you can go in the back and just play by without me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
that's nice if that's possible, of course.
Yeah.
Also for him, I guess, to just go out by himself there. So
he can explore the backyard,
Yeah, exactly. A little adventure of his own.
Indeed.
But overall, how has your week been? What have you been up to?
It's been I would say a semi-busy week. I've had things I've been doing, and I've also it was like this was the last week with the kids being home, so they just got back to school this week, and so the week leading up to that was just mainly just like doing things with them and all that kind of stuff, and just getting the odd thing here and there done. Not a lot of I sat down one day in the whole week trying to write something, and I kid you not, I sat there at my computer for hours just staring at the screen, not able to like produce anything. So I just felt like my creativity was a bit dead. Because I haven't been writing consistently in a minute. So that made me feel a bit, I guess, I wouldn't say upset, but annoyed at myself that I couldn't actually produce anything out of that. Because I had like a couple web pages open. I had a general idea of what I was going to write about. I couldn't even come up with a title or an angle about what I was writing about. So it was kind of weird, But that being said, I've been spending time gaming, which is good for me, because I need to finish some games for writing purposes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I have also been spending time, partaking in some Tele watching as well. So, and not just by myself, but like with families. Like Alex and I have watched some stuff together, watched some stuff with Chris, that kind of stuff. And also I've been watching a little bit more football. I've watched a couple of matches. That's good. And I've made it to Division 1 in eFootball 2023. So which is kind of cool, I'm in the highest ranked division in the game, and now I'm basically competing against people in the same rank as me now.
Yeah.
To increase my global ranking. And I have so far had a perfect win streak in Division 1. So No one's beaten me yet. I've been pretty solid in Div 1 and I'm loving it. So yeah, and I've also been bragging to my brothers about how I'm in Div 1 and you guys are not. So
of course. Yeah. Gotta take the opportunity,
Indeed. I basically created a WhatsApp group just to be able to let them know that I'm in Div 1 and they are not. And then I sent them, literally the night when it happened, and I sent out this message to them. And the banter was brilliant. We had a good laugh. So yeah, pretty much
that's funny.
It's been chill. It's just been a chill time. Even Chris decided he wanted to play a bit of eFootball as well.
Okay.
He said he wanted to jump in and check it out. So that was pretty cool as well. So
that is so nice. Yeah.
Not too bad.
Has he played eFootball before, or was it first time?
I think that was the first time.
Okay, look at that.
He was doing tutorials and stuff. I mean, that's first time behavior.
Yeah, sounds like it.
But he made an account on the Xbox, and he built a little team and started doing some stuff. And then I came in and saw what his team was looking like and started giving advice and helping him improve his team. I was like, you need that player and you need to remove that and you need to level this thing up. And
That's good.
Yeah, so that's kind of it. So what about you though? What have you been up to all week?
It's been a good mix of things, I would say. We had, I think that was Thursday last week. We had a good rehearsal with the band. It was really fun. Johan, the guitarist, brought his I shouldn't say new girlfriend, but it was partly new. So it was nice to meet her. She was very nice and she really enjoyed listening and everything. So it was good for us to have some ears sitting in there listening when we were playing. You even though it's just one person, you sharpen up a bit. So that was both nice and fun. Besides that, Anneli had her birthday on Monday, beginning of this week. Yeah. So we celebrated her during the weekend since it was also good weather. Me and the boys went to nearby place. We bought a package of good stuff, you might say, when it comes to more high tier candy, chocolate, and some other stuff, in a basket. And we also bought some cake. So we went out on Sunday, taking a bit of a longer walk with the family and found a good place. It's on the top of a little mountain with good view and everything. So we were sitting there in the sun and eating cake, drinking coffee, and having a good time with the family. So that was quite neat, actually. And also, Adam took a good initiative, because as I said, he has two of these mini pieces, handheld mini pieces, which are the GPDs. They aren't that common here in Sweden. And you maybe remember that a few years ago, especially when I was also still sometimes reviewing something on my channel, I was sent a GPD, the first version or the generation, and I made a review. I haven't used it that much. Feel a bit sad about it, but on the other hand, it's in good condition. So, long story short, Adam put up we're selling them. That's the bottom line. And I already know that there's a guy that will come most likely this weekend and pick up the one I have for 3,000 Swedish kronas. So that's
good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, As said before, I'm starting to think about things that I have, but that I don't need, and someone else could have a better use of it. So, So it's a bit of that kind of combo week with some nice experiences and also bringing in a bit of extra money right there. So,
That's it.
Yep, that's basically. Otherwise, I've been doing the same, keeping up the productivity, both when it comes to the music and of course also going along with YouTube and everything. So it's but I have to say it is easier now when the weather is also better in a way, or at least more light. I think that's the most important thing I can think of. I mean, warm weather, nice, but it's the light, and so I think if we can, me and Isaac gonna go into the city on Thursday just to, chill a bit before noon, walk around, and he wanted to visit a few stores, so we're going to do that. Maybe have a lunch there. But everything, as you know, is so expensive now, so it's like
that's the thing.
Where can we eat, bro? It's got to be probably McDonald's or something. It's. I mean, I can laugh about it, but it's freaking stupid. I mean, I saw that also when you start to compare prices a bit here and there, and it's the times are hard, man.
It is because to be and you joke about the whole McDonald's thing, but that's literally what happened the other day to me and the boys. Like, we went to town with Chris, and we just went to walk around and check out a couple of shops and show Chris around town and stuff like that.
Yeah, nice.
And when we looked at the time, holy crap, it's lunchtime. We haven't eaten yet. And I said, okay, well, we're going to have to get something to eat in town. What's the cheapest thing out there? And we ended up in McDonald's, so it is. And we didn't even at McDonald's, we ordered the meals we ordered. We got, so usually you get like a full meal with fries and stuff. I actually got 2 meals with fries and 1 meal without fries. And I ended up splitting the fries with Ty. So he had half, I had half, and that's how we had the fries. And then I had a bit of his drink as well, but he did not like that. He was upset that I had a bit of his drink. He
was not negotiable.
he was all pouty face and stuff. I had to tell him like, hey, I was like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. You're not pouting and stuff because I had a bit of your drink. That's not the right way to do it. We're sharing, so don't be all upset because I had a bit of drink. No. That's not the way we do things. So, but we've been good. We had a grand old time, going to town and doing that thing.
Yeah,
so
that's nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, but as you said, but even so, I mean, those prices has gone up as well, and but it is what it is. We don't have to stay there, but it's just a thing. It makes it harder, especially. I mean, it's one thing if you're alone, like, but if you have family and you're gonna like feed more than one, it starts to
It adds up. It adds up, and that's the thing. There used to be a time when you could just go to town and you could get something to eat and it wouldn't cost much and it could be something nice. And now it's expensive. Even like my favorite kebab place that I like to frequent. I went there last night and I was getting a kebab, and when I looked at the prices, now a kebab used to be around £6 for the one I usually get, which is a wrap. That wrap is now £9. So
look at that.
That's a huge jump. That's £3 more,
Yeah.
So I was just like, wow, I can't have. I didn't even have the wrap. I ended up having something else because I went there with like £7 in my pocket because the guy doesn't do card, he does cash. So I went with £7 in my pocket. Couldn't get what I wanted, what I initially wanted, and had to have something else instead. So. Generally speaking, £9 is a lot to just like just spend like that. So I don't think I will be and the guy he was asking me, he's like, oh, I haven't seen you in a bit and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I've been busy and all that kind of stuff, but I genuinely don't think I'll be able to frequent there as much as I used to based on the prices. So yeah,
well, that's happening everywhere, and it of course it's not good for the whole market and the country as a whole in a way that people aren't spending money, if that makes sense. We live in that kind of system, but it is what it is, and I know that, for example, here I could have mentioned that earlier, but it's like discussions whether the food chains or the companies are actually overpricing, taking the opportunity to make the extra money, because it's hard to tell. What does it depend on? Is it because, sure, we have this war situation still, and the prices and the, everything that comes along with it that adds some extra costs and the delivery of the food and all that. But it's fun when I so like when people are taking their time to actually examine. There's this guy, he's very I haven't heard of him before, but he's he's good at this shit, right? So he has been spending a lot of time. He actually has a website where he shows like graphs and diagrams when it comes to a big food chain here in Sweden. It's like stores all over the country. One of the bigger threes, I would say, called ICA, ICA, ICA. And he was very clear. He showed, well, you know, I've been looking into this. I've been counting, and the shareholders have been very happy, that I can say, and everything. And they show the numbers, and it looks very, even though you're not really, how should I put it, like an expert or can really read it super properly, you can definitely see that it's salt on this. Or maybe you should say sugar, you know, because it's what I'm trying to say. It's like there's smoke here and you can't really see it clearly. So they take the opportunity, and this is what I believe, especially also due to the competition. Because at least here in Sweden, there are three like major, especially two, I would say, major like food companies and stores all over the countries that are huge. They are big. They don't have monopoly, but it's very close to it. So I was many years ago, the German company called Lidl, Lidl, Lidl. Came into Sweden, and it was like they weren't that great in the beginning. We didn't shop that much there, but with time, you know, they actually, you know, got their game up, so to speak, and started to have a better, you know, assortment like of stuff to choose from and whatever. And so, and now they have actually done something. They went the opposite around. They were able to lower the prices. So finally, you know, I could see that when we were there like 2 weeks ago, that there were more people there than it usually is. So something happened, definitely. And of course, it's good because it gives like a push, you know, or a kick in the butt, you might say, to the other guys that, hey, you got to do something. I know that the like financial minister here in Sweden, if that's what you say it in English, is actually spoke out and say, hey, you got to shape up, you got to do something about this. You know, like to the bigger major ones that are you need to help. I mean, we are all in the same boat. I mean, we are all in times right now that are hard, also with the other things like you know, the prices on gasoline, and we talked about electricity, everything. So you have to contribute. That was literally her message to them, you know. So yeah, so long story short, but it's kind of interesting. So we'll see, because the question is also, which is, you know, we don't think so much right now about, is that what's going to happen later? Will the prices stay like this, or will they go back? Will it go back to where it was before, or will it go back just a bit?
I think they're going to go up. I think they're going to stay or go up. Yeah. I don't see them going back.
No, me neither. Yeah, maybe just a bit on certain things, but mostly, as you say, I think it's going to stay, and that's the new. So it's
I think I also don't think this whole Russia-Ukraine thing is I don't think it's going away anytime soon. It just feels like something that's just going to be around for a while, a good few years. You know, like kind of like how, like, growing up when I was like in my early teens, and Russia, that whole Iraq war thing was like a thing, and that lasted quite a while, you know. So I could, to some extent, I could see this conflict going on for a similar amount of time, and probably just like extending throughout like the boys' sort of like adolescent years into, you know, their tertiary years, essentially, for that. So I'm sort of just like trying to figure out, okay, like how can we make it work viable, and if prices do continue to rise and cost of living just becomes this sort of expense, I'm just trying to consider, like, okay, so what can we do, and you know, also considering like do we move somewhere else, or
exactly,
you know, all that kind of stuff. These are the factors that I'm thinking about, you know, like what would be the most viable alternatives or options for a lifestyle that with an increase in cost of living and all that kind of stuff. Because the thing too as well is that it's not like it's only increasing in one country; it's increasing everywhere at the same time. For the most part. So even in like in the Caribbean, like prices are increasing as well. I've spoken to like friends and like my sisters and all that kind of stuff, and the prices there are still also increasing in a similar fashion.
I can imagine. Yeah, so everyone gets hit, more or less at least.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's always something. I mean, we are depending on each other on this globe. I mean, it's, trading, and import and stuff like that. It's, it's you will see it wherever you live.
Yeah, it's hitting people pretty hard, but at the end of it, we'll see how it goes for the most part. And with that, I think we should transition to some
let's move on.
Some genuinely nice, pleasant conversation about some Vigima games. I think I'll start this week. The game I was playing this week the most would have been eFootball 2023. Version 2.5, which is the latest update that they've put out for the game. This update includes a few improvements. Like, for example, they've added the ability to sort of like take player cards that you had that you're not really using and use them to train up other player cards that you want to like level up and all that kind of stuff. It's not very clear how that mechanic works when you read it from their writing, and the way they've labeled it as well. They label it legacy. I think it's legacy training or legacy something they call it. So the way they sort of like write it, it just does not make sense. Like when I read it, I was like, I don't understand exactly what this is. But then once you actually try it, then you figure out, oh, okay, I get what this is. I'm taking a player that I no longer use, and I'm using them to level up another player that I want to use, essentially. So I haven't fully mastered this whole legacy training thing. Like I'm sure there's certain nuances to it, like specific players you can use to level up specific players and all that kind of stuff. So far I've just leveled up players that are in a similar position as the player that I wanted to level up, or a different version of that player. And that's been fine. That's been perfectly fine for me. But alternative to that as well, they finally started to like contracts for players have started running out, which is horrible because it does not seem very easy to get new contracts, which would mean, I will be honest with you, if I have a team and most of my players are run out of contract, like I'm gonna put the game down. Like, I'm not going to go out there and try to sign new players and all that kind of stuff immediately. No, I'm going to put the game down. So they better make sure that we have enough contracts to, like, it's easy to get contracts, because that was one of the things I think when they did 2021 and so forth. Contracts were done by a GP, which is the one of the game's free currencies. And that made it quite viable to, the contract system. This new contract system, you're using these contract tokens, which apply to about between 10 and 60 days added to your player card. And the thing with that is that I have not found a way to get these contract cards outside of using this other currency that you get called, I think it's eFootball points or something. And that currency is difficult to get. So if that's the only way to get it, I am not going to be thinking. And you get some through the match pass, but that you don't get a lot from the match pass. So either that as well is quite abysmal. But generally speaking, if they make it difficult to get contracts and I can't, get my favorite players in my team back on contract, I am going to drop this game like a hard stone and find something else to play, because that's just irritating to say the least. But other than that, they have added some other updates, like updating player faces. The hair physics have been improved in the game, so you see a bit more bounce in players with longer hair. I do want to check that out a bit more on the PlayStation 5, because I have a team with a bunch of players with super long hair. So the whole team is called Good Hair Day. So I do want to. they all have long hair,
That's actually funny.
It's an amazing team. I love it. So I am looking forward to trying out Good Hair Day on this and seeing how great their hair is, and the physics of their hair bouncing around in the wind. It's gonna be fun. So yeah,
because that can be tricky in many games. Even new games like with like considered to be like good graphics. Just hair can be a thing. It can look quite weird sometimes. So that's going to be interesting. Okay.
It was pretty stiff before, like the hair did nothing, like it just stayed there. And the thing is that's despite the fact that eFootball, for whatever reason, is probably one of the most taxing games on my PC. Like it will run my PC hard compared to anything else. Okay. But when I look at the visuals in it, I'm like, this doesn't even look as good as like half the games I have on my PC. Like, but because like
is it CPU wise or GPU?
I've never really checked. I should probably check next time I'm playing. I'll check to see if it's CPU or GPU. My assumption, I think it's GPU
maybe. Oh, you think GPU?
I think GPU. But I'll check. I will check next time and see what it is. If it is CPU heavy, and then I'll understand to a certain extent, because the game does have a lot of like obviously it's processing the players, the fans in the stand, all that kind of stuff at the same time. The only thing though is that when I play FIFA, that doesn't happen. Like FIFA does not stress my system as much as E. So it's a weird thing. Even though they're very similar looking games and all that kind of stuff, FIFA does not stress my system in the same way that eFootball does. So I'm usually able to play FIFA with a lot of ease, whereas eFootball, it runs fine on my PC, like perfect frame rate and everything like that. But I can hear my graphics card kicking in and all that kind of shit. I'm like, bloody hell. Like I could hear these fans going into overdrive like, let's do this. This game is hard.
It's uphill.
Pretty much. So
bring me energy bar, please.
I need some Vitamalt and I need a Mountain Dew.
Give me a tube of cooling pasta.
What's cooling pasta? Is that an energy thing?
I don't know.
You just made that up, didn't you? Hey, I was thinking to myself, I'm gonna have to get some of that. Never heard of it. So
a new thing coming
new
up.
Things come out. Generally the update so far seems fine. As I said, like I've made it into Div 1 in this new update, and I've not made it into Div 1 before in the game. Now granted, I have changed my play style, so I don't want to give the update credit for like, I only made it into Div 1 because of this new update. No, I've gotten better and I've made it into Div 1, which is great. So I'm enjoying eFootball 2023, the latest update. And I'm hoping I can more of my friends and like my brothers can get involved, so I can play with them, because I think where I find enjoyment in this game, and I say this for pretty much any multiplayer game, it depends on who you're playing with. Like if you have a good group of people that you're playing with, family, friends, whatever have you, and so forth, it can be fun. Because I remember when I enjoyed Fortnite, it was because I was playing with you and a couple of the mates, When I play Dead by Daylight and enjoy myself is when I'm playing with you and a couple of the mates. If I'm playing by myself, I'm not enjoying those games the same way.
It is different, true.
So that's kind of the gist of what it's like. But yeah, if you do like football and you're keen on it, you can feel free to check out eFootball 2023. It's free to play, to download on pretty much every console out there except the Switch. And currently right now it's on version 2.5. So the current version seems to be doing pretty good. And just join when you just join the game for the first time, you do get a bunch of they have a lot of features and stuff to help you get up to speed. So you can literally, like Chris just started this week and he has a really good team, so granted, that was with my help essentially, like not like I'm not saying like you need someone's help, but I mean like to know like what players to get and how to do things to get the best results early. I did help him do that, but anyone could do it if you know what you're doing. Like I could do a tutorial video and say, okay, you need to do this, this, and this, and this will help you get the best team, and you're guaranteed to have a pretty good team within just a few hours. So that's kind of what I've been playing. What about you? What have you been on this week?
Yeah, I've been checking out a upcoming new shooter called
Mm-hmm.
Veiled Experts. It's
Veiled
an
experts.
Yeah, Veiled Experts
Mm-hmm.
on Steam. It's a third-person shooter, more towards a tactical shooter. I would say they have like mixed, as it usually is nowadays. It's hard to be unique, even though the marketing wants to push it like that. But you know, yeah, things from other games more or less into one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of an you know, I played like a search and destroy mode,
Mm-hmm.
and also kind of a team deathmatch mode with a twist. That was the beta. It's been a closed beta now, and it's going into uh, early access now in May. There's
Mm-hmm.
no date set, like specific date, but that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen if people want to check it out. I've made a video on my channel where I talk a bit more about it and my
Mm-hmm.
experiences. But what I can say is that it is quite cool in a
Mm-hmm.
way. It's a game made by Nexon Games and published by Nexon. Some people might just don't want to play it just because of that
Yeah,
because
next one's kind of
it's a
mobile.
yeah, but the game isn't mobile
Mm-hmm.
per se, definitely not. And it has those kind of mechanics you might um, yeah, that usually is in a game like this, especially if it's a third person player, roll, vault,
Mm-hmm.
scale walls, things like that, and being able to shoot while doing so.
Mm-hmm.
So what they've done that is a bit different, and I guess that's what they're talking about, this unique aspect of a game like this, is that they have taken, well, they have this kind of buy system. So if you play the search and destroy mode, as it is like if you play like Valorant or a game like that, you have this buy menu, and you
Mm-hmm.
can, there's some kind of money management, maybe buy just go with the pistol first round and then maybe an SMG next one, whatever you're up to. Yeah, so what happens during the gameplay is that there's this magnetic field
Mm-hmm.
that are actually shrinking.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine like a battle royale game,
Mm-hmm.
actually. That's what they've taken into a kind of tactical shooter environment.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of constantly keeps you and your teammates on the move, and
Mm-hmm.
it becomes smaller and everything. And there are two things I think they wanted to do when it comes to this. One is, of course, to turn up the pump up the volume, well, the
Mm-hmm.
pacing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is also to try to prevent like camping in the game, that
Mm-hmm.
people are just sitting or lying in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good, of course, but there is a downside to it that I felt a bit. I mean, I was solo queue and I was playing by myself,
Mm-hmm.
but I can imagine, especially as you said, when playing games like this, if you play with friends and you're voice communicating and you're like holding angles, let's say you're defending
Mm-hmm.
and in a search and destroy mode where the other team is supposed to plant the bomb, but stuff like that. Then if the magnetic field starts to shrink behind you, it kind
Mm-hmm.
of pushes you out of cover, and the tactics, whatever tactics you might have, that's my
Mm-hmm.
my saying, might get destroyed right there, and it
Mm-hmm.
becomes more like a kind of stress, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
since it's more like a tactical environment of a shooter. It's not like the normal. Sure, there's like arcade-ish kind of fields or features in the game as well,
Mm-hmm.
a mix, but it is more towards a tactical kind of shooter, and therefore I don't know, it clashes a bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing, but I'm not sure. Maybe with time you get more used to it and can, like, how should we put it? Just get used to it
Mm-hmm.
and play with it a bit more. There's a bit of a kind of destruction here too, actually, where sometimes when the bomb goes off, like something falls down, the map changes a bit. You might
Mm-hmm.
say for the next round, it doesn't really look the same.
Mm-hmm.
So they have been definitely putting work into this, that I can say.
Mm-hmm.
And I though felt that the gunplay, which is of course one of the most important ingredients in a game like this, was a bit inconsistent. Sure,
Mm-hmm.
it's like closed beta, but it's very close now. We know how this works. It's when you're in this phase, very close to release or an early access. This is more or less how it's going to be. And I hope they improve that. I don't know if they have only like dedicated servers or if it's a mix. It's maybe peer to peer as well. I have no idea. I hope not, but I just felt that it was a bit inconsequent. Like both between certain matches, but also in a match. Sometimes it was better in some situations than others. So that's one thing I want to mention. Other than that, well, the specs are, it requires 64-bit processor, Windows 8 at least, 3.0 gigahertz quad-core CPU, 8 gigabytes of RAM, GeForce GTX 960 or Radeon R7 70 with 2 gigabytes of video RAM.
It's pretty low. That's pretty low specs.
This is the minimum. This is the minimum that I'm saying, so people can kind of get a grasp what they need to aim for. Recommended is of course a bit higher, but still it's definitely possible to play it on. I mean, I consider to have right now myself a more of a lower spec PC, or at least medium build, we can say, and I could play this with like good frames and everything. So, and it looks pretty okay. I mean, the graphics aren't bad, you know. It's it's gonna be interesting to see. I don't think a lot of people don't know about this game. I saw that also when I did the video. It hasn't been popping that well, at least not yet, and not so many people have been covering it so far. Maybe there will be some more traffic, so to say, when the game is actually out there, like more as a early access. We'll see. On the other hand, there's a lot of other things happening right now. Fortunately, it seems that this game, upcoming free-to-play game, also by Ubisoft, X-Defiant, are doing well. It's getting some really a push on the internet right now. And unfortunately, I'm not in the beta. I was accepted to try to play test in fall last year, but I didn't have the time. So now I haven't gotten an invitation for the closed beta there. But that will be released soon as well. So it's competition out there. So I'm not sure how this game will. I mean, I hope it's not one of those games as we've seen quite a few times now. It comes out, it gets some kind of push, and then 3-4 months later, exactly. You know.
I think that's the thing with a lot. Like, I'm looking at this game and I'm seeing a lot of similarities visually to a lot of other games like it, and that's the first thing that came to mind. Like, is this gonna stick around for the long haul, or is it just something for now? You know, because there's just so much competition in the shooter space as well. And so much multiplayer competition in that space as well. Breaking in and finding a community that is going to stick to the game and keep it active and, drive whatever economy they have in there so that the developers keep developing it and so forth. That's a huge chance, you know. It's
a huge task. It's hard. It's a challenge. Indeed. I totally agree with you. And that's what I also meant. It's going to be interesting to see if they can do that. I mean, it takes quite some, as you pointed out, also, you know, when it comes to community, but also, of course, the devs to actually make people want to continue to play and get an incentive to do so. So we'll see what they come up with. I'm not really sure. I haven't really been looking into depth when it comes to the actual system in the game, when it comes to monetization or whatever have you. Don't know really much about that. One thing on the positive side I want to say, since I'm a bit tired of newer, also AAA games coming out that has these horrible UIs, this game has a good, clean, easy to grasp kind of UI. So I have to say that I props to them for actually doing something like that. Because it's funny, I streamed yesterday like Warzone 2 DMZ, one of the versions of the game, with some dudes, and recently when season 3 was launched, they made some changes in the UI, but it actually became worse. So it's like they haven't listened anything to the to the sayings from the community that has been saying this since the start, when it was released, like, please change this and this, and why, of course they can't do everything that just, anyone says, but it's kind of obvious that this should be. and I'm like, oh wait, it was like this before. How do I find, when you're really searching for a certain tab or something, it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be that freaking hard to find what you're looking for. Oh my god, it's like buried in 3 layers or tabs before you actually get to what you need.
It's kind of like I was trying to explain to Xavi over the holidays. He was supposed to put together this timetable to show to Alex, and he put together the timetable and was printing it out. This took him like a couple of days to do. Yeah. And when he finally printed it out, I saw it come out of the printer. I was like, why is it like Ty was sitting in my lap because I was on the computer and he just came in and he was sitting in my lap and I was doing something on the computer, and Ty he's like, Daddy, why is Xavi printing so many pages? Right? I was staring at the printer doing the pages and thinking the exact same thing. So I look at Xavi and I'm like, because he wasn't in the room at first. He set it to print from his room and then came over to the office to get the pages, and I was like, why are you printing so? What is that? Isn't that like a timetable, like a schedule? And he's like, yes. I'm like, why so many pages? And he's like, oh, Mom told him it's like, okay. I was like, yeah, but that's not very efficient though. Like, if she wants to find out what you have to do on a Thursday or something, she has to flip through all these pages just to find that information. That's inefficient. Like, you should just be able to fit all that on one page. So I guess it's a similar thing in that regard. It's like, make things simple, not complicated. The more time you have to spend in a game, and I see that with games that I play as well, like with E, where you have to go through 2 and 3 menus just to get the stuff you need. It's irritating. It's like, oh good lord, just make it simple. Like, it's just one menu.
Especially since it's a game you play a lot and everything. I mean, I've seen the trend coming. I remember already, like I think I mentioned the latest, like a Battlefield game as well that was released, 2021, like the Battlefield 2042. I've talked about it before, and I don't play it, but I did play the beta, and I played it a bit, like using the Xbox Game Pass and everything. What I wanted to say is that's where I felt like, okay, it started actually earlier than that, but it became even worse. It's like they wanted to look like some kind of freaking social media page or something. I have no idea. It's just confusing. And now also in Modern Warfare 2, oh god, I really don't like it. So again, it was refreshing to see that Nexon, at least with this game, managed to pull it off. It was refreshing.
Hopefully they can maintain it, because I think a lot of the games start off clean, and then the more they start adding like more currencies and more stuff, then it starts to get bloated and just a mess essentially with the UI.
It's still time to screw it up.
There's still time to screw it up, exactly, because this is early. For now, I think there's a reason too as well to the madness. I think devs do that. There's a side of me that thinks this to basically inflate their active player numbers, because if you're spending more time, like after you've like in between a match, you're spending time doing things that takes a lot longer. It makes it look like they're more active players for a longer period of time, even if some of the players are just doing busy work, like they're just trying to get to the menu they need to get to the thing. I think that's it. So I think they're trying to find a sweet spot between like this cumbersome thing and a way to like for it to be viable. But
yeah.
Who's to say? Essentially, we can speculate, but we don't know.
It's an interesting thing. I haven't really thought about that, but I mean, I'm not. I'm open-minded, so I'll say, well, that could be a thing as well. I don't know. It's just that they get these deep creative ideas, and it's also possible now to do so much more technical wise, and they just want to take the opportunity to I
think devs are nefarious, man. Like, at least I would say this much: I don't think devs are nefarious. I think the publishers are. I genuinely think that the publishers behind the devs, they're all thinking about, okay, how can we get more money from the consumer and
Absolutely.
how can we get them to stay on our game the longest? That's what I think they're thinking about. The developers are like, "Oh, let me be creative and create some cool shit." But the publishers are thinking money, and which again it makes sense. It's business. That's what they're in it for. They're in it to make money. But I think because of that, that's why you end up with stuff like that. Where you have a game that's maybe really cool and really great because the developers want to make something cool, but then also it can be cumbersome and irritating because the publishers want to make their money. So yeah, essentially that's a bit of it. Rog, let's talk about some Tele.
Yes. Have you been watching?
I have been watching something this week, and it's anime actually. I started a new anime, and finished it this week. The first season at least on Crunchyroll. The name of the anime is let me see if I can pronounce this properly. I'm gonna try Japanese just for the fun of it, and then I'll give it the English name. It's a really long name. So it's Tatoba Last Dungeon Me no Mora no Shonen ga Joban no Machi de Kurusu Yona Monogatari. So the English name is suppose a kid from the last dungeon Boonies moves to a starter song. So the idea is like, imagine you're playing an RPG or something, or an online game or whatever have you. And once you get to like the last dungeon, that's where all the strongest monsters are and all that kind of stuff. And the idea of the show is like, suppose a kid who lives in this last dungeon, like right outside it. So he's like a country boy from the last dungeon area, so everything in that around that area would be like high level, right? So monsters are going to be like, level 100 or whatever have you and so forth. And, the idea is that imagine a kid from that area moves to the first dungeon. What happens then? Like, you move to the first dungeon, so you then have the story picking up where this kid comes from this last dungeon, and he's like the weakest guy from his village in the last dungeon. So imagine everyone in the last dungeon is all like level 700 and something, they badass, and he's like level 500 and something, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But he goes to the first dungeon where everyone's like level 1 and shit. And so for him, he moves there and he's like, oh my god, I'm so weak. I'm like just a little girl in my tongue just like did a handstand with me and she broke my arm, all this sort of shit. And he goes to this first dungeon. He moves to the first dungeon thinking, yeah man, I'm this weakling, and everyone in the first dungeon is like, holy shit, this guy's a threat. Like, they could just sense like a monster from this guy. Like, to them it's like, how is he so strong? Like, he's threatening, when realistically speaking, from his dungeon, he's the weakest guy there from his tongue in the last dungeon area. So it makes for a quite comical storyline. It's fairly what you'd expect, standard shonen kind of anime, isekai kind of vibe kind of thing. I would say it's one of the good ones for this. It came out 2021, hoping for a new season if they could potentially make one, but it came out in 2021, and so far it's been pretty good. I would say right now IMDb has it at a 6.3. I would actually give it a 7. Well, I should say IMDb, I say my anime list has a 6.3. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. 12 episodes in the season. They are all English dubbed. So if you like me and you're an older folk and you don't feel like reading subs sometimes, this is perfect, So, it's that's what I've been watching this week. That's my it's my Tele watching.
Good. Yeah. Sounds like a good one. Yeah.
Yes. What about you? What were you watching?
I'm gonna add something to the recipe, which is a bit different. I've been going back to 2014, and I've been watching a movie that I have seen before, but I wanted to see it again because I don't think I've seen them all, and I sound a bit weird now, but it's a movie called The Equalizer with Denzel Washington.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good action thriller movie,
Mm-hmm.
which I can highly recommend. 2 hours, 12 minutes long, like kind of normal length.
Mm-hmm.
And Denzel Washington is good. He's really good. I've always liked him,
Mm-hmm.
but I was, how should I say, not surprised, but a bit like, oh wait, yeah, he can do an action role too.
Mm-hmm.
So it has 7.2 on IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, I think that's more or less my rating too.
Mm-hmm.
He is a man that
Mm-hmm.
tries to put like his past behind him, whatever that is. We don't know in the beginning, right? But he's working, at this like place, and very normal, trying to kind of fit in. He's very correct. He's very like he has his routines. He
Mm-hmm.
goes to this like late night. He has problems to sleep. You can
Mm-hmm.
definitely understand that he still has things going on in his head, and so he usually doesn't sleep that much, and before work he goes like late night to this 24-hour open cafe, sits down, has his tea bag, drink his tea, and there's this girl coming in that he sees, and it's kind of easy to see that she's a prostitute, but he starts to talk with her. It's this cute girl you've seen in the movie, for example, Kick-Ass,
Mm-hmm.
Chloe Grace Moretz.
Mm-hmm.
And they start to talk, and he give her respect and everything, so they kind of bond pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But without spoiling, things are bound to happen, of course, in a movie like this. It's action, right? So she gets into trouble with the people that she's working for, and he's hesitating, but something happens that I won't spoil or anything, that puts him into the action, and he wants to help the girl. So the shit hits the fan, literally, because he gets into fighting a whole cell of Russian mob people in his city. So this is good action. It's good acting. It's recommended. I will definitely, because I'm not sure if I've seen number 2 and 3. I'm pretty sure there is a number 2 and a 3, right? So Denzel Washington in The Equalizer. Good action. Recommended.
Okay. This is a 7.2 on IMDb.
Yeah.
Interesting. I am adding this to my list. I do like a good action movie every now and then, so I'm adding
Yeah.
this to the list. I don't know where I can watch this yet. So
Netflix. I watched. Well, I don't know if you, but I watched it on Netflix.
I like the way you responded there. I was like, I don't know where. And before I could finish, you were like, Netflix, that's the way. That's the place. Come on,
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Netflix has got it covered.
I like it. Yeah. So,
Actually, funny thing, the music I've been listening to this week has been some classic stuff. I've been listening to some stuff from the 80s, and I've been having some really nice nice beats and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the way. I've been mixing up the beat this week, and it's been pretty good. I made a new playlist, enjoying that. So yeah, I'm gonna check out this movie. 2014, not bad, looks good. I could use a little action, a little violence doesn't isn't too bad sometimes,
Yeah, because I talked about the Taken, no, not the Taken movies before with Liam Neeson.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of remind about each other a bit, like the same, like a guy with a past as a kind of an agent or something, lethal machine that gets like activated again, or has to act, you might say. Liam had the same role in Taken. I saw those movies. I've talked about them. That's also, I guess, why I wanted to go back to Equalizer and see the kind of version, you might say, that Denzel Washington takes on in a movie like this. Or a role, yeah. So
it's interesting. There is apparently there's supposed to be an Equalizer 3 coming out this year, but we shall see. Yeah, it's listed Equalizer 3 as a thing, but it does, and it says 2023. Now I'm not sure if that's just like a placeholder, like they had planned to do it and they haven't done it yet. But the part 2 came out in 2018. And there's something on Google says Equalizer 3. So I don't know if they are working on something for this year, but we'll see. It says upcoming on Denzel Washington's IMDb page. It does say the Equalizer 3 as 2023. Okay. So maybe it's coming this year. Maybe there's a third one.
I'm not sure about the other ones. I'm not sure. I have watched like the second one, the sequel, 2018 Equalizer 2. It has a 6.7 on IMDb. I mean, it's hard to say, but usually, as you know, when it comes to several movies in the same series, it's often that the first one is the best. But I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see indeed. I will check out Equalizer 1 and I shall see Denzel Washington do some cool stuff, you know? I've not watched a lot of his stuff, to be honest. Like, when I was growing up, he was like the biggest hype actor. And for me, I've always I've never really wanted to be like, follow the crowd, you know, so like, when you'd always hear like people talking about Denzel and he's so cool and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, not for me. I'll find her. I was watching like super indie actors who were like, you know, doing stuff like Juno and stuff, and I was like, this guy, this is my guy, Michael Cera. I like him. But
that's good. Then the time is now, because it's not as political correct as it was back then, you know. So it's cool, you know.
Definitely,
good. He is a good guy or a good actor. So
indeed, we shall be checking that out. So whoa, with that, I think we've gotten to the end of the podcast. You know, there's a thing that we usually write about now. What's that thing called?
Shout out to a channel or podcast.
Shout out for your channel or podcast. There's no shot.
Watching or listening?
That's the thing. I'm thinking about it, and like before the show, I said to you, I was like, Roger, I've got everything prepared. I stayed up last night making sure I had all the stuff sorted out. I don't think I've been watching anything outside of like I haven't been watching a lot of YouTube to like know like to recommend any channels. There's one new channel I started watching recently. It's an anime channel because it started popping up in my feed a lot. I'm not sure why it started popping up in my feed, but to remember the name of it, I can't at this particular point in time remember the name of it, but it's a new anime channel by this it's a girl, and she does like One Piece and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of it, but she's she's huge outside of YouTube essentially. So she's just started doing YouTube, it seems like, but she's huge on like Instagram and stuff like that. She's like a couple 100,000 followers on there or whatever have you and so forth. So I guess she's sort of transitioned to YouTube doing the stuff that she does, like where she cosplays and stuff as well. But what got me to check out her channel was she was doing like coverage of One Piece, and as you know, I follow One Piece. I'm a big fan of it, and so it popped up in my feed. And initially, when it popped in my feed, I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, seems interesting." But then I clicked on her first video, and you know, new YouTube videos, a bit rough. I was like, I was like, I don't think I want to watch this. But then, you know, she did a couple more videos, and I was like, it popped up in my feed again, more One Piece stuff, and I was like, you know what, why not? You know, and so I did subscribe to her on YouTube. But I don't remember the name of the channel at the moment. I have zero recollection of what the channel is called, and I'm not going to spend the time digging for it. So you guys can search One Piece YouTubers and see who's the newest one, who's the girl, and cosplays, and hopefully she'll probably pop up if you guys want to check her out. I think her name is some G something. Starts with a G. I think it starts with a G anyway. Anyway, that being said, how about we say goodbye to listeners, and I can go off into the wilderness and do wilderness things. You know?
That sounds like a good start of the day. Sure. Thank you guys for listening. As always, I hope you've had a good time, as we have, sitting behind our mics here, talking about some Tele, some gaming, all that beautiful stuff in life that kind of enrichen the life itself. Take care, my friends. Stay healthy. Eat that beautiful red apple, or green if you prefer that. And we talk soon again. Muffin and out.
Beautiful as always. So with that, guys, thank you very much for listening to this episode of That Beautiful Life podcast. As always, you can find Roger at 40 Splash with the number 40 there, SPLISH. He streams on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Sunday. That's correct?
True.
Beautiful. So we can expect a stream from Roger today on Wednesday.
Oh, actually, excuse me, sir. this is one of the few weeks where I had to change the day because we are changing the rehearsal day with the band. So no, I'm streaming tomorrow instead. It's going to be rehearsal today.
Oh, you're streaming on my day. Ooh, yeah. Okay. We're going to be clashing tomorrow. It's all good. So yeah, that's Forward Splish Splash pretty much everywhere. You can find Rog also on YouTube at Forward Splish Splash and social media and all that kind of good stuff. You can also find him on YouTube making music on you're gonna have to give me the music channel's name again. I keep forgetting it. It's new to me still.
It's okay. It's BB Music.
BB Music, yeah. So go on over to YouTube, subscribe to BB Music. We'll hopefully we'll all remember the name together in due time. Sure. So yeah, you can also find me at lpgarden.garden.au pretty much anywhere, and you can also find me streaming on Twitch as well on a Monday and a Thursday. And you can find us pretty much everywhere else at Simply Binge, at Simply Binge UK. So with that, guys, as always, we wouldn't like you guys to miss out on any of the beautiful episodes of That Beautiful Life podcast. Many beautiful people like to subscribe to this podcast on Castbox, Acast, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, simplybinge.com and elsewhere. And we're so confident they're gonna give it away. We're so confident they're gonna like it that we're giving it for free. So as always, guys, this has been queued for your pleasure. And it's a wrap. There's the episode.
Yep.
So we